How to make your own gear head out of PVC and toilet bolts this week on Kayak Hacks. When you look at one of these gear heads, there's really nothing to it. It's really just one of these bolts in the bottom, and it screws down to lock into the utility track. So why not make this right out of PVC? And we can. All you need is some saran wrap, a couple of toilet bolts. Be sure you get the kind from a Home Depot if you only have a choice between Home Depot and Lowe's, because these do not have the washer already attached. If the washer is already on here, you're going to have to cut that off. And unfortunately, that's the kind that Lowe's sells. So go get these from Home Depot. The benefit of using toilet bolts is that the nut that comes with these guys is much larger and sturdier than a standard 1/4" 20 nut that you would get just with a round screw. Drill a pilot hole in the back of the end cap. You want to use a smaller drill bit than the 5/16 bit that matches the size of these bolts, because this will tend to skate across the end cap. But if you do a little pilot hole, it'll give it something to grab on. Okay, now the purpose of the saran wrap is to put that on top of the bolt and protect the threads of the bolt from either the epoxy or the repair putty. Because what we're going to do is we're going to stick that through. Then I'm going to grab one of the nuts and I'm going to gently screw that on until the top of the bolt is even with the top of the nut, like so. Now what's happened is I've got saran wrap right around in there, and that's going to protect the threads from the epoxy. Then it's a matter of pulling it down. And I like, when you're doing the epoxy, school hard knocks, is wrap this around tightly and put a cable tie around it to protect the threads from the next step. I like using this Gorilla Glue because it sets in 5 minutes, although even though it sets in 5 minutes, you're going to have to let this dry at least for 24 hours because the depth of the epoxy is so thick. Now, another school hard knocks lesson is don't try and mix this up separately, rather just pour it right inside here. Get the right amount in, and then just mix it up right in here. And I'll take my little finger and just kind of rub it over the top of the bolt just to clean off any epoxy. Now, again, school hard knocks, let's rub around here and clean up any of the exposed threads. Now the challenge is where to hang this so it stays vertical while this dries. And what I do is I put it inside one of my screwdriver holders on the pegboard. The bolt goes through there easily, and this is going to keep it in a perfectly vertical position while the epoxy sets up and settles. Now the other way to do this is to use the repair putty, and as I make a big worm out of it, and the same drill. I put the saran wrap on top of the toilet bolt. I'll take my worm and run it around. Now with this, since the putty is holding everything in place, the only trick is to keep it vertical. And what I like to do is put it on the top of a drawer and then shut the drawer to hold it stable. Let me show you how these things work. First, if you're using a 5/16 bolt, don't panic when you try and stick it on, because it's not going to go if you try and stick it on around the threads. You have to pull up on it and then it slides in easily. And now you can see that the head is not turning, allowing me to spin my piece of PVC down on top of the track. And that's locked in tight And that's not going to go anywhere. If you use a 1/4 inch bolt, you don't have to do the upward pull. It'll slide in easily. Once you've got it installed, just a matter of getting the appropriate connector, thread to thread. I can put that on, and I'm ready to go. I can build whatever I want on top of that, and that is nice and solid. And I can continue to tighten down on it if I decide I need to. And actually, once you get this thing done, it'll work just like a gear head, and you can pull it in and out attached to your connecting piece. So, hope you like this tip. Save some bucks. Make your gear heads out of PVC. Comments? Ideas? Take care.